Sunshine.
As you know, it is a one-year celebration of the MKP, their first birthday. We are live from the Moses Mabhida Stadium. We're having conversations with some of the members, officials, role players in the party. Right now, I'm sitting with Honorable Mokoena. She is the Chief Whip of the NCOP. Welcome and thank you for your time.
Thank you, Darren. Finally, we get a time to sit together.
We're always working in Parliament, you know, it's running.
But yeah, we never get a time to sit together.
Yeah. So we're glad for the time. Little bit. What does the Chief Whip of the NCOP do?
Okay, basically, the Chief Whip of the NCOP, we make sure that we direct the strategy of the party within the National Council of Provinces. Okay. Obviously, the National Council of Provinces is there to empower provinces to ensure that they have the strength to for oversight in terms of bills and legislation, and also to fast track service delivery.
Is it safe to say you hit the ground running?
Whew. I don't know if we hit the ground running, but we are definitely on the path, on the right track right now. And you know, it's always not a good idea to just run fast. I feel you need to be steady, and I think we were steady, and now we are on track. And watch us next year and see what we are all about. You'll be amazed.
What's some of the priorities for you as Chief Whip of the NCOP going into 2025, and what were some of the 2024?
Okay,
getting to
one of the big nights for us as the MK party and being new in the party was that we had to be well acquainted with all the legislation, all the bills, and everything that the sixth administration failed to do. And what our focus right now is looking at socio-economic policies, housing, that is your health, there's your education, you know, to ensure that those things are fast tracked because it's all to us as the M party. So mine is to direct and give direction whenever possible to make sure that we speed it up because it's been so slow for so long. You know, we need to have a change, and the change needs to happen now.
I definitely get that sense of urgency from you in this conversation, and definitely in offices in Parliament.
I'm all about that. No, it's time.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
You had quite a memorable speech very recently. Do you want to tell us about that event and why that speech hit home so closely for you?
Okay, I don't know which one you're talking about, but I think I've got a GBV. Okay, the GBV obviously hit not a sore point, but a remembrance for me because I was a victim of GBV at a very young age, at 5 years old. And then obviously I did not know what was happening. But as I grew up, I realized, oh my God, what had happened to me almost 20 years ago came back to me alive, you know, when I was now a varsity student, and a similar incident was happening to me. So for me, I wanted to showcase that and to stand in front of a podium and give my version of my truth so that the people out there can see that such a thing can even happen to somebody who's a member of parliament. And you know, there's so much, when you become a victim of GBV, you hold a lot in and you sort of swallow everything in and you actually own it. And what I was doing there, I was actually healing myself. In that process, I was healing myself, and I was saying it's okay that it happened, and that it should never ever again happen to anybody else. Not while I'm there in Parliament, not while I'm there as part and parcel of making sure that bills and legislation cover and protect women and children in South Africa.
What do some of those bills and legislation look like and sound like? Ideally, how would you want them to be packaged?
I don't want to lie. You know, we've got very good legislation in South Africa. We've got very good legislation. But what I find is that we don't have, you know, for example, let me give a very open suggestion. You know, with National Council of Provinces, we've got bills and legislation, and we say it covers all provinces. Okay. But we need to find a way to have a strategy that is unique to each province. For example, the Northern Cape is hit by drought. Okay. So we can't now give them all the other false things and say we're going to help them with all this and this. We need to focus on the drought issue. And then Eastern Cape has got infrastructure backlogs. We need to give them something to gear them up so that they fight the corruption within infrastructure. They fight the people who are coming in as, I don't know what they're called now, but you know, the people who are mobilizing and trying to get into infrastructure projects. So I'm saying, ideally, we have good legislation in South Africa. What we need to do now is make sure that the legislature speaks to the people on the ground. That is not just good to read, that is not just level-headed and up and sounds good, but that actually it's implementable, that it's something, it's sound, and that you are able to actually hit the ground running from the moment on. I mean, look at the land reform. We've got very good land reform bills and legislation. Can you say to get today have got their land back? Very little. And when a minister stands up in the podium and tells you about them. But when you go to the ground and you look at the person who's trying to make it in business, they'll tell you that
you have the reach within your current role to have an impact on how well that's implemented, and
have been to come in as an opposition party.
Okay.
I'll tell you why I say that. I feel if you are in power, you start getting used to the power and then you become complacent, because we are looking at the nitty-gritties and looking at and ziplining every single word. We are able to see where all the holes are, where all the loopholes are, and we are basically shining on those loopholes. And we're saying, listen, GN, here are your loopholes, look at them, work on them, and then we'll be happy.
But thank you very much for your at this 1 year celebration. And once again, thank you all for watching. Thank you for celebrating with us. Please watch the rest of the celebration content. And if you're out here in the stands, thank you for watching from here live as well. Have a great celebration with us.